Hello, and welcome to today's little video on rhythm and meter. Now, we might look at this a little differently than perhaps you've done it in the past, but that's okay. Just want you to think about things a little differently. Rhythm is essentially length, duration of sounds and silences. So, for example, a regular rhythm might be something where everything happens at a spaced, coordinated event. Something like that. All the words were happening at a regular interval. And it's possible that the intervals will be somewhat irregular as well. If you think about speech, we don't think in terms of transcribing our speech as rhythm. We just speak, and the natural rhythms of speech come out. We don't make a conscious effort to push it in the various rhythms unless we're doing something like, say, talking in time or rapping, perhaps. Now, rapping will apply some fairly regular rhythms to things. If you're, say, for example, William Shatner, then your rhythms might be a little more irregular. That may be the single worst William Shatner impression you will ever hear, and I send you my sincerest apologies for it. So we have a sense of what rhythm is, the durations of sounds and silences. We need to think about how to notate these things. And we get into a classic chicken-egg argument here, which came first, rhythm or meter. Meter is the organization of rhythms into regularly occurring pulses, where one pulse has a little bit more predominance than others, let's say. So, for example, if I have just a string of quarter notes, like this, now until I hit the space bar and it flipped one of them upside down because Microsoft Word does some silly things, all these quarter notes are equal and there's nothing really to deal with here. What is the meter here? We don't know. We just have a bunch of quarter notes. Without context, all we know is what we have here are 9 note values that are equal. We don't know how they're broken down. We don't know if one is more important than the other ones. But if we make a couple of changes here, we might be able to see something like this. Here, 9 quarter notes again, but you'll notice I did a thing where I turned every fourth one upside down. So the first one, and then 4 later you have the 5th one, and the 9th one. And what I'm saying by this is that, say, this one with the stem facing down, pointing down, is a little more structurally important. So once we have delineated a hierarchy of structure, then perhaps we have something we can work with here. In this case, you're going to have what we call a downbeat, and it's appropriate that the stems point down in this case. A downbeat, which would be the starting point, and then you have 3 beats, or 3 events that continue on in the vein, and then on event number 5, so 1 is down, 2, 3, and 4 are up, 5 is down, 6, 7, and 8 are up, 9 is down, which means that every 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we're placing more emphasis on that particular beat. Now, the term for this, let me get back to Times New Roman here so we can see what we're dealing here. The term for this is meter. And meters can be broken down into different types. You have simple and compound, and the most common groupings are what we call duple, triple, and quadruple. We've done the math. You know that we'll address simple and compound in a few minutes. Know that we're concentrating on simple right now. If you've done the math, you know that duple, triple, and quadruple mean essentially 2, 3, and 4. So a simple duple meter, it basically means that we have 2 beats in every measure. The measure is the space that is taken up by one cycle of emphasized versus non-emphasized beats. So simple duple means that we have 2 beats and then we repeat the process. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That might look something like this. There's 3 bars of simple duple. Simple triple, nothing like changing fonts on the fly here, might look something like this. And not surprisingly, simple quadruple might look something like this. We define a meter by the number of beats in each measure, each collection of repeated emphasis. Duple, triple, quadruple, 2, 3, 4. It is possible to have quintuple or octuple, but meters of 2, 3, and 4 beats per measure are what we deal with more than anything else. So this is the beginning of rhythm and meter, and we'll talk about subdivision in our next little lecture.